If you're watching this video, you're probably wondering, how can I get from 90 EV to 100 EV as a junior or senior in high school? Well, it's really simple, man, and you can do this if you focus on these 5 things. I'm Nate Kelly. I've helped transform 50 plus remote athletes online, gaining 8 to 10 miles an hour in exit velocity in 60 to 90 days, all with the purpose of maximizing on college opportunities. Which sounds great, but why actually listen to me? Because I was you, bro. I had what I call close but not quite syndrome. My exit velocity was 95. I ran a 7-second flat 60. I had a 93 mile an hour outfield velocity, and my mental game was absolutely terrible. I would classify it as the worst mental game of all time. See, my metrics were close to undeniable. As you can see right here, a snapshot from my last PBR event. But this actually came with a ton of problems and more than you probably think. I didn't get enough notice from D1 coaches, and I got too much notice from lower level colleges. And this led to a severe identity crisis. Was I D1? Was I D2? D3? JUCO level? I didn't really know. And I trusted a physical system that got me above average, but not undeniable. And the result of this, drum roll please, D3. Now, this was my journey. I started my first game as a freshman. I had 3 strikeouts, and I'd never started again that year. I tore my UCL twice, and my career was effectively over, and I regret my career every single day. Nice resume, dude. But I used my time while injured extremely effectively. I effectively got indoctrinated into the coaching staff, and I was named the team captain my senior year, and I was completely unable to play. And quite frankly, I was fed up with being a non-factor out on the field, so I literally became a coach and team captain. And with that came a ton of research, physical systems, mental systems, and strength conditioning, because I had to face reality. My career was over. And the last thing I wanted was a player just like me following in my footsteps. But even before and through my injury, I got myself results. I decreased my 60 time from 7 seconds flat to 6.7, and I hit 101 EV in college, of course, before I tore my arm. And I came to the conclusion that I am a natural leader. How many people can say that they were team captain while being unable to even perform on the field in any capacity? And that they got indoctrinated into the coaching staff while still being a player. Which leads me to the present day. I'm currently the strength conditioning coach at Anderson University in Indiana, the same college I played 4 years at, and where my career severely failed. But all right, you get the point. That's not really the idea of the video, which is definitely right, but at least you know that I know what I'm talking about. So now let's talk a little bit about you, because if you're watching this, you are very similar to me. Your metrics are close, but not undeniable. And if you don't figure it out soon, you'll end up just like me. And like I said, my mission is to prevent that. Because as you can see, it goes way deeper than just a number on a radar gun. There's a full psychological and mental element, and in reality, this is what destroyed my career. So let's fix it now before you become another Kelly training. But how do we actually do that? Well, step 1 is to identify where you're already at, and you have to run these specific assessments. First is your power testing, then your strength testing, your speed testing, your rotational testing, and your mental testing. Every 2 to 4 weeks, you must run an exit velocity test. We have to see the data and how you're improving or not improving. We also need to see your horizontal med ball toss with a radar gun. Your 60-yard dash must also be measured, your 1 rep max for trap bar deadlift, your 10 rep max for reverse lunge, and your vertical and broad jump. You have to see how your numbers are moving. If you don't, then you're just guessing, and what gets measured gets improved. Your targets should be as follows. Your exit velocity should be 100, of course. Your horizontal med ball toss should be at least 30 miles an hour with a 6-pound med ball. Your 60-yard dash should definitely be sub 7 seconds. Your trap bar deadlift 1 rep max should be 400 pounds. Your reverse lunge 10 rep max should be your body weight plus the bar. And your vertical and broad jump should be about 27 inches for vertical and 9 feet plus for your broad jump. Awesome, now you have some foundational numbers to start chasing. But how do you actually get to these numbers? Well, you have to build around your weaknesses, as your results are your data, and you need to improve these metrics as they are the athletic foundation behind a solid baseball player. This is what your weekly split will look like. On day 1, it is largely bilateral training. This is a lower body workout that focuses on both legs. For example, your deadlifts, your squats are both examples of bilateral exercises. Day 2 is your vertical pull and horizontal push. A vertical pull example is a chin up, and a horizontal push example is a bench press. Day 3 is your unilateral work. This is single leg work. Split squats, single leg squats, single leg RDLs, just for example. Day 4 is your horizontal pull and vertical push. This is your bent over row and overhead press, for example. But the key here is that your rotational volume must go up as you progress. This means rotational strength, which is increasing the weight and going as heavy as possible on rotational movements, your rotational speed, which is dropping the weight and moving as quickly as possible, and your max rotational output. This is your isometrics. And this is pushing the threshold in which you can actually move rotationally at one time. But most importantly, it is incorporating the triphasic training approach throughout your whole journey. This is the best way to give your body the necessary stimulus to increase these numbers. This is a proven structure used across the whole country, and some of the best baseball players in the world use this approach. But honestly, guys, I could make a whole video about the triphasic training approach alone. So comment try if you want to see a full video on this. Once you've established your training split and your training program and protocols, the next step is to get really nitty-gritty on your hitting mechanics. Now listen, you have 90 plus EVs, so your mechanics are already solid, so it's gonna take some deep analysis to figure out how to get more power out of your swing for 100 plus. And I wanna introduce you to the 3 tension points. We're gonna use Bryce Harper as an example. The 3 tension points ensure that you're maximizing the power output in your swing, and you're actually utilizing the strength and power you're building up in the weight room into your mechanical swing itself. Point number 1 is what I call the squat and hinge. Listen, man, the ground is the strongest thing you're in contact with, and it's an immovable object, meaning you can put infinite force into it, all the way up to your force capacity, which you should be building in the weight room. So you are your own limiter with the force you can make and put into the ground, meaning you cannot sway back in your load anymore. You have to squat and you have to hinge into the ground to use that force. So if you're still swaying back in your load, you have a lot to work on. You can see here in Bryce Harper's load, he is glute dominant, he is squatting deep into the backside, 70% of his weight is on his back leg, and his chest is over top of home plate. This will give you a free 3 to 5 exit velocity. I am not kidding. Comment tension number 1 in the comments below for the drill to fix this. The second tension point is what I call the arm stretch and scap load. Everybody forgets about the upper body mechanics as well, and it has to sync properly. This is called sequencing. See, Bryce's hands retract and his scap loads as his front foot is going towards foot strike. We are creating opposition between the top and bottom part of his body. See, your body must be a rubber band. When you stretch your hands back, you are creating a rubber band effect. And when you stretch the rubber band fully, it shoots out more powerfully. And this must move opposing from the front side. So think about pulling a rubber band. You gotta pull from both sides simultaneously in opposition to create the biggest stretch. So you have to implement that concept into your actual body. Right here, Bryce is creating a massive tension point, and his body is effectively a fully stretched rubber band. Comment tension number 2 for the drill to fix this as well. And finally, point number 3 is what I call the front side coil. Just like the hands, everybody forgets about the front side. You must create tension here so it can prepare the backside and the hands to fire effectively. Here's a very simple cue. The pitcher should be able to see the back pocket of your front glute and should be able to see your last name on your jersey. We can see here Bryce is internally rotating his hip to make that possible. This view is much better. Aaron Judge does it perfectly. We can see here from a pitcher's angle that you should be able to see his last name and his number on his jersey. You can also see the back pocket on his front glute. He is effectively loading his front side coil right here. He's waiting on the back side, his front glute is loaded, and torque and twist is introduced by being able to see his name and number on his jersey. Comment tension number 3 for the drill to fix this. Now, your swing looks like Bryce Harper. That's awesome. But a great swing can be ruined if you eat like a dumbass. And that is why step 4 is nutrition. Nutrition is the hidden sauce. No pun intended. And here are the key metrics you must hit to hit 100 EV. Your body fat percentage must be between 10 and 12%. If you got too much body fat, man, it's gonna be hard to effectively move your body. So make sure you are leaned out. To find your body weight, take your height in inches and multiply it by 2.5. An example of this would be if you're 5'10", that equals 70 inches, times 2.5 equals 175 pounds. You should be eating 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, which is pretty mild, and if you want to be really aggressive, you can up that between 1 to 1.3 grams. You should also follow the 20, 25, and 55% rule. This is your fat, protein, and carb intake per day in percent. So 20% of your daily diet should be fat, 25% protein, and 55% carbs. You also have to be tracking your calories and doing daily weigh-ins every single day, non-negotiable. There was a study that I read about in college. There were 2 groups of people that were 400 pounds, and both groups wanted to lose weight. They took one group and weighed themselves every single day, twice a day, and the second group weighed themselves once a month. Which group do you think effectively lost weight throughout their journey? The answer is the group who weighed themselves every single day. You have to track your weight and your calories. So you're either going to be in a calorie surplus, which is plus 250 calories per day, a caloric deficit, which is minus 250 calories per day, or a body recomposition where you sit at maintenance and turn your fat into muscle. This is all based on your goals and assessment. And listen, man, this is all about how you treat your body. If you treat it well, you will improve in almost every facet, but if you treat it poorly, it simply won't. Which leads me to step 5, pushing intent and neuromuscular improvement. Now, EV isn't so much about putting on a bunch of muscle. Like, of course, that definitely helps, but what's really important is the efficiency in which your brain can fire signals to those muscles. And many people refer to this as quick twitch. You've probably heard that term, but I like to call it central nervous system efficiency. Now, you probably play with a guy who's big, he's muscular, he's lean, but he still cannot hit the balls into the gap for power. That is because you have to train a specific way, like a baseball athlete, and you have to move fast. And this all starts with intent. When you tell your brain to be fast over and over and over, what do you think happens over time? It gets pretty fast, dude. But how do you actually do that within your training? Here are your non-negotiables for your intent-based training. Your workouts got to be 10 out of 10 intensity, not a single rep off and max intent through and through. You have to incorporate CNS work. This is bat speed programming, ballistics, aka med balls, and overload and underload training. Next, you should be striving and should be beating previous PRs within your training. So you should be timing everything. You should be tracking all your loads. Distances should also be tracked for broad jump, vertical jump, things like that. You have to strive to beat these times each and every time you do your workouts. This self-competition increases central nervous system efficiency. You should adhere to progressive overload. This is simply increasing the weight each time you work out. You gotta get bigger, you gotta get faster, you gotta get stronger. Your cage swings should push your bat speed to 100%. Now, this doesn't mean every single swing should be out of your shoes, but this definitely does mean you should reserve some swings during your training to really push that bat speed 100%. Whether it's front toss, underhand toss, machine work, tee work, you should have 5 to 10 swings within your training sessions that are 100% balls to the walls flying out of your shoes. Of course, you need to be consistent throughout this process. You can't do this for 2 days expecting plus 10 EV gains. And you gotta be consistent with your sleep, so 8 hours of sleep at the same time every single night. Your brain is powered by sleep. In fact, all of your gains actually happen while you are asleep. That is your body's transformational factor. And if you miss one of these, you are completely screwing yourself over. And you probably won't hit your goals, man. And a quick bonus is adding a partner to your workouts because that competition increases central nervous system efficiency, and also deload weeks every 4 weeks within your programming. And these 5 steps in action got Julian to 101 EV off the tee. And Julian was stuck at 93 EV for 8 months. Pretty insane. You can check the description for the interview where he actually goes through this process and admits it live on that interview. And this was all done inside the Close the Gap protocol within our 3 main pillars: prime development, major league launch, and the standard separator. You can see right here that Jace gained 12 EV throughout the program. Ryan gained 10 exit velocity and also committed to a college program. Dan gained 9 EV in just 5 weeks inside the Close the Gap protocol, and he's also down a half a second on his 40-yard dash. Liam got the RBI and hits record at his high school during his junior season, all accredited to that +9 EV and the mental systems that we equipped him with inside the Close the Gap protocol. Inside Prime Development, this is your physical, personalized development in the weight room, your bat speed programming, your nutrition, and triphasic training approach. Major League Launch is your personalized mechanical evaluation. It's your tailored drill work and your one-on-one communication with me and Coach Rost about your approach and in-game feedback. The Standard Separator is your mental training with certified mental performance coach, Coach Rost, your daily accountability and 24/7 text feedback, our weekly group calls and mental performance lessons, and access to 12 individually tailored mental performance modules inside our school community. Here's an example of one of our group calls last week. And you can book a call with me in the description below if you're looking for more information on the Close the Gap protocol. Now, I got to warn you, this is only for very coachable players, ones that are very determined, and college aspiring juniors and seniors. And I want to mention that this is a tried and true method, and we've seen it work time and time over. You are no different than these guys. All you need is the correct system. No more pointless one-on-one lessons, and no more spinning in circles, saving Instagram workouts, and using ChatGPT for your development. You need a personalized approach. And remember, stand out and don't settle. I look forward to speaking with you.